How's it going, boxing fans? This is Liberal 185 right here. This is my take on the upcoming middleweight title bout between Sergio Martinez and Kelly Pavlik. And many of you know who Kelly Pavlik is, but Sergio Martinez is kind of like in the red with being exposed to mainstream fans in the U.S. And just to give you a little background check, he's 44-2, 24 by way of KO. He has 2 draws, so he's 42. He's 44, 2-2. Coming by way of Argentina, resides in Spain now, and was relatively unknown up until when he fought Kermit Cintron for the interim WBC light middleweight title, which ended up in a draw. And he came into the fight as a title holder, so he ended up holding the title. And and the only notable name on his record is a fight in 2000 against Antonio Margarito, which he lost by TKO in the 7th round, and I'm not sure if that was by if he was getting beat badly or it was by a cut. But that's pretty much the only notable name he has on there. And again, before the Mosley fight, there wasn't much shame losing to Antonio Margarito, but things change. But he ended up fighting Kermit Cintron for the WBC light middleweight title, and from what I hear, people think that Martinez got the fight, but they ended up scoring it a majority draw. So I haven't seen the fight, but if you have, please comment and say if it was close or it wasn't close. But most notably, we saw on HBO when he fought Paul Williams in a middleweight title bout. Oh, not title bout, rather, just like they just fought at middleweight. He moved. This was his first fight at middleweight. He moved up, and again, and I was just surprised as everyone else. He gave Paul Williams a really, really tough time. And they exchanged knockdowns in the first round. I couldn't believe he knocked down Williams. I believe it was a left hook or right hook. I'm not sure, but it sent him down, and bam! I was just like, oh my god. I think it was a right hook, to be honest. And I was just like, whoa. And even the commentators were like, wow, So we know that he isn't a feather-fisted fighter. He does have some power, and he gave Paul Williams a hell of a time. And again, the scoring in that fight was also ridiculous. Julie Letterman had it 114-114. Lynn Carter had it 113, 150. Had it 115-113 for Williams, and this one guy had it 119-110. So one person has it a draw, one guy has it 119-110 for Williams. That's just bullshit right there. That's killing boxing. But hopefully this fight with Kelly Pavlik isn't like that. And y'all know Kelly Pavlik. He's been introduced to the mainstream. He holds the WBC and WBO middleweight title. Ever since the Hopkins fight, he's taken on 2 relatively unknown middleweight fighters and a kind of a lackluster performance against both of them. As you all know, he took the title away from Jermaine Taylor. They both met undefeated, and in 2008 he fought Bernard Hopkins, and it was kind of like the new middleweight king versus the former middleweight king. And as you all know, it was a brutal fight, and Kelly Pavlik just got his ass handed to him. And Kelly Pavlik has his excuses. He says he wasn't himself in the fight, which I think is bullshit. He should just admit that Hopkins put a boxing lesson that night. And many people say, and I'll say it too, I think that Hopkins took something out of Pavlik because, he just schooled him. When you lose, when you get knocked out, you get knocked out with like a lucky punch straight on the chin, it happens. It can happen to anybody. But when you just literally just get taken to school like Hopkins did, it kind of messes with you. You're like, man, maybe I wasn't even that good in the first place, or how is he in better shape? He's 40 years old, and it fucks with you mentally. And I think that's what happened to him. I think he doesn't really have his confidence up, and maybe he wants to prove that. He's like, something, Hopkins did beat me, but I'm still the same fighter, and that's why he chose a guy like Sergio Martinez, and he's even putting his middleweight titles on the line. He could have fought at a catch weight or something, but he's choosing to put his titles on the line. And I give respect for Kelly Pavlik for doing that, and for giving the opportunity to Martinez. But going on, I think that I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Sergio Martinez takes this by unanimous decision. As you all know, Kelly Pavlik's a hell of a puncher. I think he punches just a tad harder than Paul Williams. But and I think that Pavlik's going to make it a tough fight. Martinez is going to make it a tough fight. We saw how kind of awkward, not necessarily awkward, but just like from the angles that Martinez throws is going to cause Pavlik some problems. And I think what Sergio needs to do is that, kind of like what he did with Paul Williams. Actually, scratch that. He's going to need to stay on the outside for Kelly Pavlik. And he's going to need to kind of just cut off the ring not necessarily cut off the ring. It's weird because, like I said, I've only seen one fight of Martinez, and that was a Paul Williams fight. And most of the time, it ended up kind of looking like a brawl. But it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles a puncher like Kelly Pavlik. Kelly Pavlik does punch hard. He has those long, langy arms, and we have seen his stamina. He was able to hang in with Bernard Hopkins. He was able to hang in with Jermaine Taylor in the first fight. But like I said, I think Martinez takes us by unanimous decision, a very close, maybe even a split decision, maybe even a majority decision, like his loss in his last fight. But I'm going to say that I think Martinez is going to steal the show, and he's going to hand Pavlik his second loss. And again, I think this fight could go either way. I'm not saying that Pavlik has no chance. Of course he has a chance, But I think that Martinez is going to rise to the occasion, and Pavlik's just not going to be able to handle his weird punching angles. And we saw how fast he could be in the Williams fight. So, and hopefully we see a different Kelly Pavlik, because he took on Marco Antonio Rubio and Miguel Espino, and that Miguel Espino fight was on pay-per-view. I can't believe it was on pay-per-view. Fucking Top Rank, putting shitty fights on pay-per-view. But he blew both of them out, and we'll see if he's going to try to do the same with Martinez. He needs to be careful with Martinez. And I'm pretty sure Pavlik's going to be studying the hell out of the Central and the Williams fight, more notably. But again, I think Martinez takes it by unanimous decision, and it's going to be the 17th of April in about 2 weeks on HBO. HBO picked this up. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I think you guys should watch this one too. April has some really good fights in there. It's going to be in Atlantic City for the WBC and WBO middleweight title. And again, feel free to comment or convince me otherwise, or argue. If you think Pavlik's going to blow him out, feel free to comment. And so next Saturday, 17th of April, don't miss it. Middleweights, Martinez versus Pavlik. Peace.